Hey YouTube, it's Weird Paul. 10 years ago today, I got to make a trip to England, and I'm going to tell you all about it. In 2006, the movie Weird Paul, a low-fidelity documentary, was released. And, in September of that year, the director Stacy Goldschmidt told me that it was going to be shown at the 20th Annual Leeds International Film Festival. We decided that we should go there for the showing. We were offered a hotel to stay at and VIP passes. Somehow, I scraped together the $600 for my plane ticket and got myself a passport. I tried to prepare myself for 10.5 hours in the air. When they put the luggage tag on my suitcase, they didn't have Leeds down as the final destination. It's a good thing I noticed, or it would have ended up in London without me. First, I flew to O'Hare Airport in Chicago to meet up with Stacy. The plane that we flew on to London was a Boeing 777, and I couldn't believe how big it was. I wasn't able to sleep much as we flew all night, and I remember reading some of this book on the flight. We landed at Heathrow Airport in London to get a connecting flight to Leeds. I got my only stamp in my passport. I was allowed 2 carry-on bags on the first flight, but now on the second flight they would only allow me to have 1. So, I had to put everything that was in this bag into this bag, which also had my laptop in it. That was a real trick. The plane to Leeds was an Airbus A319, a tiny plane that bounced hard upon landing as I braced myself. Upon arrival at the airport, I was given this Leeds bag, and inside it were this Leeds coffee cup and Leeds pin. I had really bad jet lag, but I was whisked away to Town Hall where I was given a small cake. And then I did an interview with BBC 6.
Is a profile of Weird Paul Petrovsky, a product of the American lo-fi scene in the 1980s. Famous for making tapes of his music and then sending them personally to his fans across the globe, his life, music and notoriously quirky habits have been captured on film by director Stacy Goldschmidt.
People want to see documentaries about people who are creative because a lot of times people don't feel like they've freed that part of themselves and they wish they were like that. And sometimes by seeing that helps them to free that side of themselves.
We attended the opening night VIP party. I became very drunk on the complimentary wine, and we saw the new Peter O'Toole movie, Venus. Then it was off to get a little sleep at our hotel, the Ibis. I got up early and had an English breakfast. And then we walked down to Albion Street where all the shops were, and ate at the Oriental Buffet for lunch. That night, I performed live in England for the first time.
But my name is Weird Paul. I came from the United States as an ambassador of rock and roll. Rock? Yes! Rock.
I could tell that the guitar they lent me hadn't been played in a while because the strings were all rusty, but it worked out fine. Afterwards, we went to a pub called Mojo, where I became hideously drunk on White Russians. When the song Alive by Pearl Jam began playing, everyone in the crowded bar began singing along loudly. And when a fight broke out, we decided it was time to go back to the hotel. I woke up and I watched TV, and then I bought some turkey sandwiches. Here's the greasy receipt. That night, my documentary was shown at a club called Subculture, and I performed live for the second time.
Thank you! I love it here in Leeds! It's wonderful! As soon as I arrived at the airport, they whisked me away to the town hall where I was given cake.
During one song, I jumped up in the air and came down very hard on one of my toes. I could feel the pain immediately. So, I had a Jack Daniels and Coke. Then, I went back to the hotel. I was exhausted. I watched Top of the Pops, and then I went to sleep. I woke up suddenly at 3 a.m. The fire alarm had gone off, because there was a fire in a garbage can on the 5th floor. Everyone in the hotel had to leave their rooms and go downstairs. Stacy told me that when she had gotten on the elevator, there was a man urinating in it, and he told her to watch her feet. Not much sleep that night, and too much alcohol. We got up at 7 a.m. to go sightseeing. While we were eating breakfast, we heard on the news that Saddam Hussein had been sentenced to death in his trial in Iraq. We took a train to the town of York. I was almost falling asleep the whole way. We saw a lot of amazing old buildings, and I was walking funny because I was trying to keep the weight off of my toe, which was hurting a lot. We stopped at the store Marks and Spencer, where I was finally able to purchase some digestive biscuits. And I got my picture taken in front of the Kinky Donuts. Ooh, how kinky. While we were there, we went on some kind of Viking attraction that had actual Viking ruins that had been uncovered in the late 1970s. Back at the hotel, I saw how bruised my toe was from walking on it all day, and I realized that I had either broken it or sprained it very badly. The next day was the second and final showing of my documentary. There were a lot of people there to see it, but I found out later from someone's blog online that they hadn't sold many tickets, and the audience was made up of festival guests and employees. Stacy and I spent the afternoon filming footage for my music video, Cooper's Farm.
Now it's rolling. How's that? Let's try it one more time. Yep.
And then we went out to see some movies. Maxed Out was a documentary about credit card debt. Then we went to the Holy Trinity Church to see the silent movie, Asphalt. I didn't care for the movie much, but I did enjoy eating some digestive biscuits as I kneeled in the ancient pew. That night, a cool guy named Mark gave me this. A Freaky Friends Skull Crusher. It says keep it candy, so I kept it. It was too cool to eat. We went to the store Morrison's, and I bought a lot of digestive biscuits, which I continued to eat. Maybe that's what gave me the dream that I had that night, that I was starting a record label called Dracula is Difficult, or DID for short. On the last day of our trip, we just went out and saw some movies. Looking for Reynolds was a great movie about an experimental band in Argentina. Slide Guitar Ride was a fun documentary about the blues musician Bob Log III, who I opened for a couple years ago. And Beijing Bubbles was an amazing film about punk rock bands in China. The director was a guy named George Lint, and he gave Stacy and I some cool movie posters. He asked me if I knew any German, and I said MACH SCHNELL, which means do it quick. I told him that MACH SCHNELL was how I lived my life. George later sent my father a postcard telling my dad that he loved his acting and compared him to Robert De Niro. Then we went to a bar called Sandinista and we made a toast to friends and film. On the way back to the hotel, I found this tag in the street and I started telling people that it was a drink coupon. I also remember that I ripped a styrofoam takeout container in half, and putting the halves on my feet, I loudly exclaimed, "Look, I've a new pair of shoes!" Another 4.5 hours of sleep, and I had but 25 minutes to get ready to go to the airport. In London at the airport, they had random inspections of luggage, and of course, I was chosen. The Indian gentleman who was looking through my bag pulled my set list out and stared at it, confused. I said, "Those are song titles." He asked me who would sing them, and I told him that I would. He told me that he was also a singer in the prayer hall, and he advised me to keep on singing. On the 8.5-hour flight back, I watched part of Monster House, and I used the bathroom a couple times as we flew around the tip of Greenland. I was excited about the idea of going to more countries soon, but I never did. And now, my passport has expired. Hopefully, I'll get a new one, and I'll get to visit England again. I hope that you enjoyed the story of my trip to England in November of 2006. If you did, don't forget to click on the like button down below. I'll see you soon with more memories. Thanks, YouTube.